All right, Shalom, Yeshua, and
Shalom,
Brother Ezekiel,
brother Jose.
and we're here on another lesson. We're dealing with the Gentiles. Now, I do gotta apologize. I made a mistake on a translation that I will bring up once we get into the laws and stuff because it was speaking about Edom, and there's an issue with that because there is a mistranslation that's in the scriptures dealing with the Hebrew and the English. Okay, so we'll bring that up. So what we're going to do, we're going to start here dealing with the Gentiles, dealing with the laws, the prophets, and the gospel and everything. So we have thorough understanding of what the Gentiles, what their position is, can they be saved, and know their salvation isn't the same as the Israelites and things like that. So we'll bring this forward and everything. Excuse me, dealing with the laws and everything. But first, we're going to start in Revelations chapter 7 and verse 9.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands.
Okay, so right here it says there's a mixed multitude and of all nations, kindreds, and peoples and tongues. So they're all dressed in white robes, standing in front of the Most High, and the Lamb as being Christ. Separate. The Most High is sitting on his throne, and then his son, the Lamb of the line of the tribe of Judah, who you call Hamashiach Yeshaya or Yahushai or Jesus Christ, that is the Lamb, the Son, that's separate. Okay? We'll do a lesson on that too. But anyways, so it's shown and proved that in John's revelation that there is a mixed multitude of other nations that will be saved. Okay, so let's prove that one more time, and then we'll go into the law to back all this up. Okay, so let's go to Revelations 21 and jump to start at verse 22.
Chapter 21, book of Revelations, chapter 21, verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty, and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it. For the glory of the Most High did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk.
And the nations of them which are saved, go ahead.
And the nations of them which are all saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
So those that is written in the Lamb's book of life. So nothing can come into the kingdom to defile it. Nothing unclean. So what that means to Gentiles, when you guys read Paul's writings, do not get that mixed up where it says about the circumcision and uncircumcised that you don't need to be circumcised and stuff. No, that's not true. You do need to be circumcised according to the law. And we'll bring that all out. So with that being said, anybody that's going to enter into the kingdom of the Gentiles is going to bring their glory and stuff into it and stuff has to be clean. Okay? So we're debunking all the Gentile teachings of they can't be saved and they can't have this and they can't do this and do that. That's bull. As it just stated from Hamashiach Yeshaya or Yahushai or Jesus Christ or Yeshua, said right here that they shall be in there in the book of life, those that are saved. Okay? So now mind you, once again, their salvation isn't the same as us. Before you turn this video off, be like, oh no, I ain't listen to him. Calm down. Hear the whole conclusion of the whole matter. Israel's salvation is the kingdom. Okay? We ain't got to do anything. The nation's salvation is to what? Serve us in our kingdom. That's their salvation, period. Okay? That's better than burning in hell for all eternity or being put to death and erased from all existence. Okay? So, anywho, now let's go into the law. We're going to start at let's get the mixed multitude first. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12 first. And give me 1 second. Let me just find it here. Let's see. Start at verse start at verse 35.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 35. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord, the Most High, gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians.
So right there. So this is what's happening right here back in Revelation. It's showing and prove that they're bringing their glory. All the kings of the earth of all the nations are going to bring the glory into the kingdom. Okay, that's where it's showing you. I told you guys, this is the blueprint. The tabernacle, the ark, and things like that. It's the blueprint of the kingdom and stuff and what's going to happen. Okay, we'll do a lesson on that and everything too. But just showing and prove what's going to happen. But go ahead, verse 37.
And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
So right there, it's showing and prove that not only Israel came out of Egypt, you had other nations that came with Israel, Gentiles, heathens, aliens, foreigners, sojourners, strangers. Okay, that's what came out of the land of Egypt with us and things. Okay, because you had some believe and saw what was going on. I was like, yo, I don't want this to happen to me. Okay, so now since we got there and we proved that, let's go to jump to verse 48 and 48 and 50.
Verse 48. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Most High.
So a sojourner, a stranger. Once again, look that up. It's H1616 in the Hebrew. It's talking about a Gentile. Okay, so they can keep the Passover under this condition. Go ahead.
Let all his males be circumcised.
Let all their males be circumcised. So when you guys are reading in Paul's writings with no understanding, those Gentiles that believe in the Most High and Christ and the Holy Spirit, you have to get snipped. You still have to get snipped. Even though the promise wasn't given to you, you still have to do so in order to get salvation. Okay, go ahead.
And then let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth amongst you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Most High commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that the Most High did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies.
So stop right there. So showing and prove one law, as in one home, if one was homeborn, or a stranger that sojourned amongst you. So that's given that understanding in Revelations 21, where it tells you that all the nations that are saved shall bring their glory into the kingdom. Nothing can defile it. Okay? So according to this law, anybody that's not of Israel, males, if you want to get that salvation, and since you say you're Christ-like, you want to follow Christ, Christ was circumcised. That means you need to be circumcised too. Okay? And undo what's up in here and in here. You got to think like an Israelite. You have to be like an Israelite. Okay? But we'll get into all that stuff later and things like that. But we're just getting with the laws, what it concerns about the Gentiles. And then later on, we're going to do lessons. This is the good part. And then we're going to give the bad part where, well, people may think it's bad because it's other nation concerning them. But they're going to get the bad part about what's going to happen if you don't. You're going to get destroyed and put to death. Plain and simple. Okay? So let's get the next law. Go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath day of the Most High thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou shalt nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
Nor thy stranger that was in thy gates. Okay? A Gentile. If you have Gentiles working for you, they cannot be working on the Shabbat. Okay? So, showing and proof, even in the commandments, that they cannot be breaking these laws. They're included in here. The Most High put it in here. Okay? So, it's just showing and proof as a law. Let's go to Leviticus 18 and verse 26.
Book of Leviticus chapter 18, verse 26. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth amongst you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from amongst their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine or distance
Ordinance,
Salakia, ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God.
So I am the Most High power. So right here it tells you even a stranger, the Gentile, cannot commit any of these abominations. And when you're talking about, you see all the unlawful things that it's talking about if you read the whole chapter and something. Just jumping straight to the point. Dealing with all the laws, dealing with the stranger. This is how you get understanding. Precept. The word precept, once again, means laws and commandments. If you precept something from the New Testament only to the prophets, you're only doing it halfway, and it's not giving the full understanding. You have to get it to the law. Okay? That's giving a full understanding. Otherwise, you're going to continue teaching and having our people fighting against each other, debating, arguing about this and about that because you're not knowing the laws, so forth and so on. Okay? So with that being said, no abominable things that we shall do, Israelites, nor of the Gentiles. Okay? Let's get the next law. Go to Leviticus 19 and 10.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 10. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God.
For the poor and the stranger, I am the Most High your God. So you're still supposed to show, hey, if you have an abundance of stuff, give it on to also first our people, and then the stranger, which is the Gentiles, they need help and things too. You're supposed to be that light onto the Gentiles. You're supposed to be the judge. You're supposed to bring stuff back in order like it tells you in Psalms 82. Okay, if you're going to call yourself God. And I mean that by saying a judger. Okay, let's get the next law. Verse 33 and 34.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33 and verse 34. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him.
You shall not vex him if a stranger comes in, meaning don't antagonize, don't mistreat, don't abhor, so forth and so on. Go ahead.
But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you.
No, shall be as one.
Shall be unto you as one born amongst you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Most High your God.
See that? I am the Most High your God. Continue reading.
Verse 35. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meter yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weighs, a just ephon, and a just hin shall ye have. I am the Most High your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes, all my judgments, and do them. I am the Most High.
So it's telling you, you're supposed to treat the stranger that dwells amongst you as one born amongst you. And thou shalt love him as thyself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. So this is not talking about, once again, I've heard the doctrine to try to say that was another tribe that was with them and stuff. No, it's not. Get the context if you're going to use the strongest concordance and give that thorough understanding. H1616 and the other one is H something, I forgot. One is talking about strangers as in Gentiles. The other one was talking about your own brethren who was from another tribe and things like that, venturing into your land and stuff. You have to use it in the right context, okay? And look up the words where it gives you the right context, okay? So that's what you're supposed to do, all right? It ain't for you to take vengeance. It's not your job. Your job is just to go speak this out here and let it be. If they don't want to hear it, fine, whatever. Now, I'm not telling you let them put their hands on you so you defend yourself and do that. And anybody that's watching that talking about turning the other cheek, you don't even understand that understanding what Christ was talking about anyways. So, but this is just showing and prove that this is what it needs to be done. Okay, so we can't make this up. We're going back into the law as instructed by Hamashiach Yeshaya, okay, or Yahweh or Jesus Christ. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 1 through 2.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 1 and 2. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Again thou shalt say to the children of Israel, Whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or the strangers that sojourn in Israel.
Or, it says, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel. It told you Israel first, and or the stranger that sojourn amongst you. It's a Gentile. Okay? Go ahead.
That giveth any of his seed unto Molech. He shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from amongst his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do any ways hide their eyes from the man, when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a whoring after him, to commit whoredom with Molech from amongst their people.
See that? So let's stop right there. So it's letting you know. So these Gentiles are sitting here trying to serve the Most High and worship Him, and he goes out, or she goes out, and give their seed and burn their children onto that idol Molech and stuff, and onto that God. You should be put to death. Okay? Once again, okay, everybody, Christians or anybody watching this, I'm not telling you if you catch somebody to do it, to put them to death and stuff. Okay? All I'm saying is that according to the law, if we was in that land at that time, we in captivity now, so obviously you couldn't do that anyways. And Christ is going to do those things when he comes back. Okay? So that sacrifice and killing, those that commit those sins are that are worthy of death, you can't do that right now. Okay? So just saying that because, anyways. So let's get the next law here. Go to Leviticus 22 and verse 17 through 18 concerning the Gentiles still.
22 and what?
Verse 17 and 18.
Leviticus chapter 22, verse 17 and 18. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, Whatsoever he be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel,
Once again, or of the strangers of Israel, go ahead,
that will offer his oblation for all his vows, and for all his freewill offerings, which they will offer unto the Most High. For a burnt offering ye shall offer at your own will a male without blemish of the beeves of the sheep or of the goats. But whatsoever hath a blemish, that shall ye not offer, for it shall not be acceptable for you. And whosoever offereth a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Most High to accomplish his vow, or a free will offering in beeves or sheep, it shall be perfect to be accepted. There shall be no blemish therein.
So let's let you know. So these Gentiles can sacrifice onto the Most High. They got to follow the same thing. You cannot bring anything with spot or blemish onto the Most High. It has to be perfect, plain and simple. Okay? So these are laws for us, like it says first, and then the Gentiles. Okay? Let's get the next law. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 25. We already did Exodus 48 and 50. Yeah, we did. Go to Leviticus 25 and verse 6, please.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 6. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee.
So once again, it's letting you know the Sabbath is meat for Israel and the Gentile. Okay? So anybody that says anything about the doctrines that they teach about all the Gentiles, this and that and the other, if they cannot pull it out in the law, precept, the actual word, once again, law or commandments is the word precept. If you cannot bring it out in the law, your doctrine is flawed. Okay? Christ gave you that understanding and that instruction back in Luke 24 and 44 through 45. Okay? So you have to do it according to that way that Christ taught us. All right? So this is for our brothers and sisters to kill this debate and stuff and just to teach it what it says on 100% truth. Enough with the debate and stop lying and twisting the Most High's laws. Okay? Let's get the next law. Let's jump to Numbers chapter 9 and verse 14.
Numbers chapter 9, verse 14. And if a stranger shall sojourn amongst you, and will keep the Passover unto the Most High, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do.
So stop right there. So it told you the ordinance and the manner thereof. What is the ordinance? It's talking about what? And a lamb without spot and blemish. And the manner, the ordinance of that those males had to be circumcised. That's a Gentile, okay? Women, no, it's not circumcision for women. They have to come in there with a renewed mind and heart to worship the Most High according to all his law, statute, and commandments. But go ahead. You shall have. You shall have.
I'm trying to find out.
14.
14. Ye shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land.
See that? One ordinance, one for the stranger and one for that was born in the land. Okay? So, let's jump to Numbers chapter 19, verse 10. Can't refute these laws, but hey.
They don't read.
Don't say sure don't.
Numbers chapter 19, verse 10. And he that gathered the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. And it shall be unto the children of Israel and unto the strangers that sojourneth amongst them for a statute forever.
For a statute forever. So it's talking about we having the separation and stuff with the ashes and the uncleanliness, the washing and things like that. When they do these sacrifices, you have to clean yourself and things like that, bringing it on to the, depending on what the ordinance of the sacrifice is, what you're sacrificing for, so forth and so on. So once again, it included the stranger. Once again, it's Gentile, okay? All these I'm pulling out all from the laws dealing with the Gentile. So then when you go into the Tanakh, dealing with the prophets from Joshua and the Maccabees, then you could see that, hey, you had certain Gentiles that was all amongst Israel that was actually following them. They actually were in the kingdom as well. So they were clean. Well, except for Saul's little handyman. He was an Edomite or whatever. But anyways, so the fact of the matter is this is what's supposed to be done, okay? One order, one law for all, right? Let's get the next one. That was 19
and 10.
and 10. Let's go to Numbers. No. I don't want Numbers. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 16. And I charged your judges at that time, saying, Here the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother and the stranger that is with him.
So you're supposed to judge righteously between your own people, our own nation, and with the Gentiles, the strangers. Okay, keep reading.
Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear them small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is the Most High God. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which ye should do.
So stop right there. So this is what you have to do. No respect of the person. No matter if somebody got you a gift or whatever the case may be, and you become super friends. If your super friend all of a sudden does some wicked stuff, you're supposed to judge according to that. You can't be like, oh man, I wish you didn't do that, man. Yeah, I can't. No, you got to give it righteously, 100%. Okay, no lack, or no, excuse me, no slacking, whatever. Go to Leviticus 19 and 15.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor, nor honor the persons of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
See that? So once again, we're just bringing that out again to clarify, repeats and stuff. Letting you know, amongst the strangers too, you got to judge righteously, okay? And it's talking about, once again, fearing man and things like that. You're not supposed to fear no man, no matter what he is, Israel or Gentile. And as a matter of fact, go to 1 Samuel 16, verse 7.
Is that tonight?
Yep.
First Samuel.
Yep, 16 verse 7.
15 and 7.
16 and 7.
First Samuel.
Start at verse 6, as a matter of fact.
First Samuel, chapter 16, verse 6. And he cast stones at.
That's 2 Samuel. There you go. And then 16 and 6. 16 and 6.
All right, First Samuel chapter 16, verse 6. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Elijah and said, surely...
No, it says...
Eliab, yeah. Salakia, Eliab, and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not unto his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward, looketh not as a man seeth from a man looketh on the outward.
Read it again. Start that over.
Verse 7.
Yep, start that over. Take your time.
But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not unto his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth, for the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart.
So basically, I'm just getting at this. So, judging righteously, don't be afraid to judge who you're going to deal with, whether it be Israel or Gentiles. Judge righteously, okay? Just balances, just weights and things, all right? So, I was just pulling that out with the prophet and everything, because, like I said, this is how you deal with when you're dealing with the instruction of what Christ said to do when you want to get a precept or give thorough understanding according to this. So, we're precepting everything from the law, which tells us through, in the prophets and in the gospel and things. All right, so that's how you get understanding. If you don't precept that with the law, with the word law, with the word precept meaning law, then it's not full understanding. Okay, then you're going to start making things up while you're on the roll. So anyways, let's jump to go to Deuteronomy chapter 2 and verse 4 through 8. Hold on 1 second. Let me just get there. What did I say? 4?
Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2. Sorry about that. One second, y'all. Salakia.
Verse 8.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Okay. No, we good. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, Book of Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 8. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath, and from Ezion Gaber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given unto the children of Lot for a possession. The Amims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many and tall, as the Anakims, which also were accounted giants as the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Amims. The Horims also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them when they had destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their stead as the Israel did unto the land of his possession, which the Lord gave unto him. Now rise up.
Wait, what verse are you on?
12.
No. Chapter 2,
verse 8.
verse 4 through 8.
4 through 8? Oh,
yeah, Salakia, y'all. I was looking
8.
like, wait, where are you? All right, yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 4 through 8.
4 through 8. And command thou the people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore meddle not with them, for I will not give you of their land, no, not so much as a foot breadth, because I will have give Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession. Ye shall buy meat of them for money, that ye may eat, and ye shall also buy water of them for money, that ye may drink. For the Most High thy God have blessed thee in all the works of thy hand. He knoweth thy walking through this great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord thy God hath been with thee. Thou hast lacked nothing. And when we pass from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath and from Ezion Gaber, we turn and pass by the way of the wilderness of Moab.
So basically saying, listen, don't meddle with them. Don't antagonize them. Really don't even deal with them, so forth and so on. Don't try to take their land and try to get them for whatever they want and stuff. You can't do it. It's not given to you. Okay? And like it says in Numbers, it says we should have bought from them and things like that. But in Numbers, I think it's 20, where it says when Moses went and asked the children of Edom to let us pass through and stuff, and we'll pay for whatever and things like that, they wouldn't allow us to pay for it. They came out against us with swords and stuff. So with that, the Most High didn't forget that. And I'm going to get into that where it speaks on, Obadiah and stuff, what's going to happen. And with the mistranslation, like I said, I had to recover up for a mistake that I made when I was reading. I forgot the translation that I did concerning that. But it's going to come up here in a second. Let's jump to Deuteronomy 10 and verse 18 through 19.
Deuteronomy chapter 10.
Yep.
Verse 18 through 19. Deuteronomy 10.
Start at verse 17.
Deuteronomy 10, verse 17. For the Lord your God is God of gods and the Lord of lords, a great God almighty, and a terrible, which regardeth not persons nor taketh reward.
So stop right there for a second. So even the Most High said he's the power of all powers, meaning there's other gods in the earth. So that's not one God. He's the one and only God above all other gods, but there's many gods in the earth. That's why he stated that right there, okay? So to all people think you're all worshiping the same God and stuff, no, you're not, okay? Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, all that stuff is at least Hinduism tells you the truth, because they worship many gods and stuff, okay? But Christianity and Islam try to make you seem like you worshiping one God and stuff, and when really Christianity teaches you to worship Jesus as being God, and Christ never said he was God, okay? And he never said that, and even the scriptures prove that he's not God. He's the Son of God. That's the only thing. Even Satan knew that back in Matthew 4, 1 through 11, when he tempted him and stuff. It said 3 times, if thou be the Son of God. If thou be the Son of God. Christ asked everybody, who do you say I am? Peter said, thou art the Son of the true and living God. And he said, blessed are you, Peter, for flesh has not shown you this, but my Father in heaven. So obviously the Spirit was with Peter to tell him that you answered my son correctly, that he's the Son of the true and living God. Okay? So anyways, keep reading. Verse 18.
Chapter 10, right?
Yeah.
Verse 18. He doeth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loved the stranger, in giving him food and remnant.
And loveth the stranger. That's a Gentile once again. And giving him food and raiment. Go ahead.
Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye.
So stop right there. It said, Love ye therefore the stranger. This is the reason why Christ told you to pray for your enemies and things like that. That's showing love and things like that, okay? And I'll do a whole nother lesson on dealing with how to love, what's according to love through the Bible and things like that, and the real love that Christ taught us what we need to do, okay? It says again, love ye therefore the stranger, or excuse me, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Go ahead.
Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and swear by his name. He is thy praise, and he is thy God, that have done for thee these great and terrible things, which thine eyes have seen. Thy fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons, and now the Lord thy God hath made thee as the stars of heaven for multitude.
So once again, you guys can read that yourself. I didn't say that. That's what the Most High says. If you twisting that in things, you hate the Most High, and a bunch of y'all being mamzeers. And when I say mamzeers, meaning you're a bunch of bastards. And when I say that is because you are being illegitimate sons to the Most High. He's our father and stuff. You're supposed to do what your father says. That's why the commandment says, honor thy father and thy mother. So with that being said, that's what you're doing, and you're hellbound 2/3 for not following and teaching his law, statute, and commandments. Okay? Let's get the rest of these. Jump to Deuteronomy 14 and 29.
Deuteronomy 14, verse 29. And the Levite, because he hath no part of the inheritance with thee, and the stranger,
and
the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou doest.
See that? So everything, the tithe, the sacrifice, the feast days, all this and that and the other, you're supposed to allow them to do that if they're only keeping the Most High's law, statute, commandments, if they're circumcised, so forth and so on. So if you're dealing with Gentiles out there, and these individuals know that you are the true real Israelites of the Bible and stuff, and they're not circumcised, but they want to cleave on and do the Most High's work, guess what? The men have to be circumcised. That's according to the law. So Paul didn't do away with that law or anything like that, or change that. That's the lack of understanding of the law. Okay? So with that being said, they have to be circumcised. All right? Let's get the rest of these. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16 and verse 9 through 12.
Deuteronomy 16, verse 9 through 12. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto the Lord thy God, which a tribute of a free will offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto the Lord thy God, according as the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before thee, the Lord thy God, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are amongst you, in the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to place his name there, have chosen to place his name there. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes.
So you're supposed to do all this, including the strangers, okay? So once again, the Gentiles, you're supposed to do these things. 100%. I'm just going through all these laws before you start going into the New Testament and the Tanakh and stuff and trying to say that, oh no, they ain't supposed to do that because it says this right here and this is right here. That time is because they was wicked or whatever they wasn't trying to follow. They were strangers and aliens towards the Most High and things. But you had Gentiles who was dealing with the Most High, so you're supposed to treat them as one was born unto you. Go to Deuteronomy 23 and verse 7. Now, this is the one where I messed up on because it's the translation, and I forgot about this. Okay, this when we deal with Deuteronomy 23 and verse 7, it's speaking of. Now I'm gonna bring this out. We'll get it. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land.
Keep reading. Verse 8.
The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation.
So stop right there. So now, verse 7. When it says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, okay? When you look up in the Hebrew translation, Strongest Concordance, eSword, whatever, regular Tanakh, whatever, look up the word H130, okay? H130, and I'll bring it up for you 1 second here. Oops, excuse me. H130, it says Adomim, or Edom. It says a patronymic from H123, an Edomite or descendant from or inhabitant of Edom. Edomite, see H726. Now, when you look up H726, it says a clerical error for H130, an Edomite. It says Syrian. So there's a mistranslation on that. So what it says, that when you read Deuteronomy 23 and 7, it's letting you know it's supposed to be read as thou shalt not abhor an Syrian, not an Edomite. Because what happens is, to get that understanding, let's go to Obadiah 1 and 18. The whole book of Obadiah is talking about Edom. Okay, so this is where it is, because we know the Most High doesn't go back on his word. He doesn't, everything he says, I am the Most High, I change not. So everything in the law is telling you this, because otherwise this is going to be a problem dealing with the law, because it says, the translation says Edom. But in Obadiah it says the Most High said it himself again that Edom should be a stumbling, it should be erased off the face of the earth. So there's a problem there. Some people think that's a misunderstanding and stuff. It's all the way right here. Right after that. Right after A. No, that's still A. Oh, you got it right there. Okay, 1 and 18.
Obadiah chapter.
Okay, so this is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18.
And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord the Most High has spoken it.
So it says there shall not be any remaining in the house of Edom, because that's what the Most High said. When you read the whole chapter and verse, well, it's only one book. When you read the whole book, it's letting you know in that chapter, in that whole chapter, that everything is concerning Edom and what's going to happen to them. So it just said, the Most High just said that, once again, verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Most High has spoken it. So now we know the Most High changed not, and we know the Most High doesn't go back on his word. So obviously it's telling us, the word in Deuteronomy 23 and 7, that law is telling you, it says, thou shalt not abhor a Syrian. A Syrian. Okay? So their sons and their children shall enter into the congregation of the Most High in their third generation, along with the children of Egypt. Okay? So with that being said, Edom is not even going to be here anymore. Period. That's according to Obadiah. Okay? So with that being said, I mean, people may say they disagree, but look it up. I gave you the strongest concordance, the eSword, the Hebrew. Go look it up in there, okay? You'll see it for yourself. But that's according to that. Now, some people will keep saying that the white man is Edom or Arab or whatever. The whole thing is, whoever Edom is, okay, they're going to be wiped off the face of the earth. Okay, I don't deal with genealogy. I don't do debates on genealogy and stuff. I told people this plenty of times before. I don't get into that. I'm worried about keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, teaching other brothers and sisters to do the same thing so they can earn their name in the book of life. All the other stuff don't mean nothing to me. But anyways, let's go back to the law now. So that was the mistake that I made back from the law lessons and stuff that I was clearing up. So I do apologize, y'all. Let's go to Deuteronomy 24 and verse 14 through 15.
(14 through 16).
14 through 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 14 and verse 15. Thou shalt not oppress any hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. At his day thou shalt give him his hire. Neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and setteth his heart unto it, lest he cry against thee unto the Most High, and it be sin unto thee.
So it's letting you know right now, dealing with a Gentile, if you got a Gentile hired or they're working for you and stuff, every man of Gentiles and Israelites that you have a hired servant, you have to pay them their wages before the sun goes down on that day because they're dependent on it. If you do not do that and this Gentile cries unto the Most High said that is sin unto you. So that's a great transgression. Okay? So it's showing and prove out through the whole lesson here, throughout the whole scriptures. The Gentiles are going to have a place being saved to serve the Israelites in the kingdom and stuff. That's their salvation. And you have to treat them this way. So other nations that's watching this and things, you have to follow that order, the laws. If you read the whole other book without going into the laws or not even understanding the laws, and you go into the rest of the book, your understanding is going to be thoroughly off, completely. And as a matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Go to 2 Peter's 3 and 15 real quick.
That's New Testament, right?
Yep. All the way in the back. Yep, we'll bring it out here in 1 second. There you go. 3 and 15. I keep giving you guys this warning and stuff. That goes to everybody, anybody who's reading our book.
2 Peter's
3 and 15.
Chapter 3, verse 15. And account that is the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also according to the wisdom given unto him hath written unto you.
Go ahead. Read that again. Sorry.
Salakia. Chapter 3, verse 15. And account that is the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also according to the wisdom given unto him hath written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction.
So you are unlearned if you don't know the law, statute, and commandments. Exodus to Deuteronomy. If you don't know the law, statute, and commandments, and you read in the book and you think you got it all going on and stuff, and you do that, your understanding is off, and your teaching is off too. You're leading a bunch of people into destruction. The blind leading the blind, literally. That's why you have to use a precept, a law, to give your thorough understanding of anything the prophets are saying, anything that Christ is saying, anything that the disciples are saying. Okay? Keep reading. Verse 17.
Verse 17. Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware, lest ye also being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness.
It says, ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before. So, what is the before? That means the laws. The laws. You should know these things. It says, beware lest ye also be led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness. The blind leading the blind. Once again, learn your law, statute, and commandments, people. Everybody. Okay? Whether it's Israelites or Gentiles. Read the first 5 books. If you don't learn, and write down the laws. We did lessons on all the laws and stuff. If you're watching this video, watch from part 1 all the way to part 16. Okay? And write these laws down, highlight them, whatever, so nobody can fool you. Any doctrines that come out of here, whether it's camps, any religions and isms and schisms that bring something against that, they can't cut the laws. It's not happening. It's not going to be movable. Okay? It says, but growing grace, which is time, and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yeshua, to him be glory both now and forever. Amen. So, let's get the last part where it shows, too, also that the Gentiles will be in the kingdom. Go to Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 22 through 23, and that'll be it for the law. It's right after Jeremiah.
I got it. Chapter 2?
No, chapter 47 and verse 23. Or excuse me, verse 22. Let me get there real quick, too.
Ezekiel chapter
Hold on.
47 and 22.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 22.
Start at verse 21, just 21.
21. So shall ye divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourneth amongst you, which shall beget children amongst you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country amongst the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you amongst the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall ye give him his inheritance, said the Lord thy God.
So, once again, this is speaking of Gentiles with you. It's not talking about Levites or another tribe that's inside your land that coming to you saying those are strangers. No. This is talking about Gentiles once again. So, we went through all this stuff dealing with the good and the bad, or dealing with the good, with the Gentiles and things like that, giving that understanding. We're going to pick up some more. There'll be a part 2 to this, maybe a part 3. So in part 2, I'm going to start getting into the last parts, going into the gospel and other scriptures dealing with the Gentiles to show and prove how they were dwelling amongst us and how a lot of them was working for us and things and doing the will of the Most High. So we'll deal with that part on the next part. And then after that, then I'll go into the destruction of the Gentiles that will not serve, that will not cleave on to the Most High God through Christ and the Holy Spirit and the Israelites. Those I'm going to get into and give every destruction dealing with the Gentiles. Because like I said, I'll give the good, I'm going to give the bad. One way or another, you're going to learn all this. So anyways, that's all we have to deal with today. I hope you got some understanding. Once again, read up on the word Edomite for Deuteronomy 23:7, where it says it's a mistranslation when you read H726. It's dealing with Edom. It's dealing with Assyrian, not Assyrian. Assyrian. So anyways, I'm Brother Ezekiel.
And I'm Brother Jose.
And we'll build with you later, all right? Much love to you, Yeshala and
Shalom.
world, and y'all be good. Shalom.